What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to jump in and talk about Masterwork Weapons, and specifically I wanted to list a few weapons which are really worth turning into Masterwork Weapons. So I've seen a few people asking, I've got this many cores, which weapons should I upgrade and what bonuses would be the best to have on them? So I figured I'd talk about some of the real standout weapons. These obviously stand out to me pretty strongly, and these bonuses will be based on my opinion. Everyone feels differently, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, that is one of the joys of actually being able to customize stuff. Not everyone has to have the same thing. First up, let's do a good one that many people have probably been chasing down already. It's going to be the Better Devils. So of course, this is a really dominant hand cannon in general, very, very popular. It's a very sturdy weapon, comes with explosive payload. It's all around probably the most popular hand cannon in Destiny 2. Now, of course, in terms of Masterwork Weapons, the stat bonuses themselves are pretty minimal, so they only really account for, 50% or less of the decision making, behind what Masterwork you actually want, in my opinion. Of course, the stats are cool, but all Masterworks will generate, orbs on double kills. So part of this is going to be about weapons that are going to be regularly getting those kills. And Better Devils is absolutely one of them, whether you're running through strike content, PvE content, the raid in particular places, especially the Eater of Worlds, they're fantastic places for the Better Devils. Of course, it's also a popular PvP hand cannon, but in terms of the stats you can actually roll out on this weapon, I have handling on it right now. Previously I had magazine, and I've been rolling this trying to get reload, and I just have not been lucky. But looking at the options for the Better Devils, I'd say that plus 10 reload would be the best stat all around for this weapon. You can also roll plus 10 magazine, which will give you just one more round. Again though, I think that's relatively decent. When we look at the other two, we have plus 5 handling and plus 5 stability. Now for me personally, I don't really find that stability is really beneficial on hand cannons, especially this one. Base stats on the Better Devils are really good already. Bumping up the handling speed may be more appealing for people inside of PvP stuff. It does make the weapon generally snappier. Either way, if there is one hand cannon that is really worth getting a Masterwork on, then it's going to be the Better Devils. If it's a weapon that you use a lot right now especially, you should certainly look to put 10 cores into one of these if you don't get one dropped. And then of course, if you don't get the stats that you want, you're already kind of 50% of the way there as soon as you make the weapon a Masterwork, and then you can, re-roll it over time to try and get the optimal stat. But let me know in the comment section which ones you'd be rolling on the Better Devils. Now, the next weapon I'd want to jump in and take a look at, not in any particular order, it would have to be Uriel's Gift, but also we can include a whole bunch of other popular auto rifles in here. Now, the reason I like Uriel's Gift is that it has high caliber rounds. Of course, that is, generally a pretty influential bonus. It does help in the Crucible, although it's not absolutely huge. It's actually kind of low-key very, very good in higher-end PvE content, if you're running things like the Leviathan raid on Prestige. On certain encounters, it's very noticeable just how much high-caliber rounds stuns enemies, so that's why I'm using Uriel's as the example. But of course, you have the positive outlook that comes with Kill Clip, you've got the Ghost Primus from the raid, as well as things like Origin Story, and all of these really, depending on your preference, are very viable Masterwork weapons. The Uriel's I'm using right here is on my friend Firebolt's account. I appreciate you letting me jump in and try this, man. But we have plus 10 reload, which would be my personal optimal choice for this weapon. Any reload bonus is pretty nice, and a stat increase of 10 is fairly decent. Second to this, I would go with range, so having increased range on auto rifles, they have fairly decent range right now, but it really will help them to perform that little bit better at very long distances. Plus 10 magazine is a 10% mag increase, so a lot of the time, you're going to see fairly small number of rounds added to the magazine. I believe on things like Uriel's Gift, it will give you like 3 more rounds. On some of the higher mag size weapons, you can get a few more rounds than that as well. So it can be okay, and I'd probably focus on handling, lastly on this particular category of weapons. As I said, you guys may feel differently, so let me know in the comment section. Another thing to think about with some of these weapons are having things like Ambitious Assassin. So, the number of rapid kills before reloading the magazine will overflow the magazine. So if you're actually in positions to get a lot of multi-kills, then you can use this to your advantage, get as many as you can in one mag, reload, overflow that magazine, which on the last breath right here from Trials actually ups the mag size from 43 rounds to plus 60 rounds. And then of course, getting double kills is going to be pretty easy with that amount of ammo in the magazine, depending on which situation you're in, and you can generate a whole bunch of orbs. Next though, the Nameless Midnight is going to be another very obvious choice. pretty much the alpha scout rifle for PvE content in particular. Now this thing has flared magwell for faster reloading, you also have steady rounds for recoil control, and then you've got explosive payload once again. So obviously versus the auto rifles, this one is filling in the longer range engagements, and Nameless Midnight is capable of, just mowing down enemies from, medium to long range. Now considering you have flared magwell with this weapon, you can reload, fairly quickly with it, and versus the other potential bonuses you can get on Nameless Midnight, I'd actually go with 10 reload here, because it is going to stack with flared magwell, you'll be reloading incredibly quickly, and the other stats just aren't going to offer you as much in my opinion. You can of course go with plus 10 magazine here as well, increase the mag size, it's always nice considering it does also have pretty competitive reload speed at base. Range is something that you don't generally need to look at on scout rifles too much. The range drop off generally happens at very extreme distances. If range is something that you were really specking for, then plus 10 range could be pretty noticeable, and I'd probably put handling last on this particular weapon. It has decent enough handling at base. If you were really into it for PvP in particular, then handling could be slightly more appealing, but otherwise Masterwork with reload on Nameless Midnight would be my personal choice. Also thanks to my friend Shadowrock for letting me use his Nameless Midnight with the Masterwork. Next though, I wanted to talk about rocket launchers. Now Sins of the Past is a very popular PvE launcher from the raid. Of course it comes with cluster bombs, which is really nice. You also have auto loading holster on this weapon. There are a couple of different ways to think about rocket launchers. Of course Sins of the Past has very good blast radius, and then the Curtain Call has a much higher velocity with a lower blast radius. So the higher blast radius is generally going to be more effective at dealing with, a whole bunch of enemies in a space, because obviously it's spreading its damage across that space, so it's going to actually deal with more enemies. Curtain Call is more focused on velocity with a lower blast radius, so its rockets are going to arrive at the target quicker. The blast radius is reduced, so the clusters that actually, come inside of that blast are going to be more focused, and that can mean increased DPS. So I have Sins of the Past right here with blast radius. That does mean I can max out the blast radius while going with one of the barrel options that actually gives me the highest velocity. Confined launch would give me the most amount of blast radius but very low velocity. So blast radius in this case works out, fairly nice, but this is going to be more for kind of clearing enemies than anything else. With the Curtain Call, you do have higher velocity, so you could opt for blast radius, or you could opt to bump up the velocity even more and keep that blast radius small for higher focused damage. The other option, of course, with rocket launchers would be reload speed. Reloading rockets can be pretty jarring. The reason I've put this lower on the list though is that, in DPS situations at least, people tend to be using rally barricades and things like that. However, reload is definitely still a good choice, and handling I'd put last. I just don't feel that it's as effective as the other options. But of course, I focused on blast radius that bit more because we are talking about weapons generating orbs, so really you're looking at multi-kills wherever possible. Now the final weapon type, this is more of a weapon type than a specific weapon that I would put Masterworks on, would be a sword. The primary reason for this is that if you get double kills with the sword, you are literally on top of those kills. You're going to be picking up those orbs very easily and very directly. And of course that means there are a whole bunch of other interesting things you could do with your setup, running a Void Walker. You can have things like Devour on and just go around destroying a bunch of enemies, picking up a bunch of orbs and charging your super quicker. There are certain situations where this can be really, really awesome. I actually have a Masterwork Future Safe, which isn't a fantastic sword, but to be honest, at this point, the perks on a sword don't make an absolute massive amount of difference, especially since we had the nerf to the raid sword. Although that is still a very viable weapon, it will continuously reload ammo, this time on the light attacks, which also can be getting you kills. So the primary thing with swords is the fact that you can get multi-kills up close on mobs and everything like that, and you'll be picking all of those orbs up very easily. You can roll impact as well as magazine size on swords. Increased impact does mean more damage, particularly on the raid sword. This is going to be a really nice option. Magazine size in a lot of instances is going to grant you literally like 2 more rounds, so it's not super fantastic. Impact would absolutely be the better option here. So those would be my top 5 archetypes and weapons to actually look at getting Masterworks on. Of course we did look at multiple weapons in some instances. Naturally there are a ton more weapons that you might want to get Masterworks on. You've got really awesome weapons like the Purpose Scout Rifle from Trials of the Nine, things like Pleiades Corrector if you like that, whole bunch of different auto rifles. The list really goes on. I just wanted to focus on some core weapons which are really potent. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Gotta give a big shout out to my friends Firebolt Please as well as Shadowrock9 for letting me use their accounts to try some of these weapons out. I will link Shadowrock's YouTube channel in the description below as I mentioned. Another thing I wanted wanted to mention is that my friends over at Gamerlink are doing a holiday giveaway. So they have a PC prize pack, which includes a GeForce GTX 1070, a HyperX mechanical keyboard, as well as their gaming mouse, a whole bunch of other peripherals. They've also got a prize pack for Xbox One S, as well as a Scuf Infinity controller, and then even a PlayStation Slim giveaway with some cool games and other stuff, and a Nintendo Switch. So definitely you guys should go check that out. I will link the giveaway in the description below. It is a Gleam giveaway, so you can obviously follow people on Twitter and YouTube accounts and retweet it and all that kind of stuff. And you will be in with a chance to win some pretty awesome gear. If you have enjoyed the video though, guys, a like is appreciated below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see more Destiny 2 content. For now though, you guys have an awesome day.